Muted.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar. My name is Richard Parker, and I'm a Business Development Manager here at Tech Data. And once again, I want to thank you for joining us today for the NetIQ presentation. So just a couple quick things I wanted to cover before we do get started. If you can and have the ability, please mute the phones on your side. On our side, we are muting them as well, but sometimes the phones come unmuted. So if you mute your lines, then this way it'll help us control the background noise. And then also, if you have any questions that you would like to ask today's presenters, please use the chat feature that's in the window within the WebEx portal. And then we'll see the question, and then we can read those out to today's presenters on your behalf to answer those important questions. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get today's session started with NetIQ. So we're going to have two presenters talking today, John Einhaus and Troy Drewry, who will be today's presenters. So John, what I'm going to do is go ahead and get you set up to take over the controls. It's going to take a quick second here. And
great, thank you. Am I live?
Yes, you should be live. You are live. I hear you. We all hear you. You should have the controls now.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thanks a lot, Richard. I appreciate your introduction, and welcome to the webinar. Our goal today is to give you some hopefully good information for you on our advanced authentication products, where they fit, how you can use them, how you can make them part of your own arsenal. And the whole idea about this, of course, is single sign-on and access management. How do we make sure that the people who are signing on to systems are the right people, and how do you make sure that the people who are running the systems are able to control that access efficiently and according to compliance? And we're fortunate today, as Richard said, that we have Troy Drewry. He's with Micro Focus and NetIQ, one of our product managers and one of the gurus in this whole access management and advanced authentication space. And Richard, I don't seem to have control for moving the slide. Let's see. Oh wait, maybe I do.
Just go ahead and hit your page down. Is that not working for you?
I don't see a page down.
Let's see.
Okay, so yeah, are you able to do that?
Yeah, I can do it from my side.
Okay, okay, great. Okay, then we'll try that. And maybe, you know what? There's little tiny buttons at the bottom. I might try those too and see if those work for the next one. If not, I'll ask you for some help.
Okay.
So for today's presentation's agenda, we'll talk a little bit about Micro Focus and NetIQ. It's a whole new thing. NetIQ is just acquired by Micro Focus. We'll have a few authentication observations, and we'll talk about some of the integrated products that fit the technology, that the whole area of where we can support helping people with authentication, how you can identify some of the opportunities, and of course there's more. There's some benefits that are out there for you if you're engaging with Tech Data and with Micro Focus, and of course we'll also give you the contacts. So we'll start. It looks like I do have control now. Great. So we'll start with a little bit of our history. Micro Focus has about 30 years of supporting IT, so that's a few years in the business. But more importantly, maybe for this particular subject, is NetIQ has about 20 years specifically in the identity and access experience. We have been providing products in this area for a long time. We know the business real well. Our customers love us, the analysts love us, and we have a lot of partners who are dedicated to our identity and access products. And in fact, if you'd like, you can join the partner program at PartnerNetProgram.com. In fact, I'm sure a lot of folks that are on the call right now are already part of that program. So we do have a few authentication observations. And Troy, since you're the guru, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to talk a little bit about some of the observations that we found in talking to customers about access and how people authenticate to the very many different systems they have within their work.
Sure. Thank you, John.
Well, the main thing has to be today that you don't want to show up in the news. I mean, there are weekly, if not daily, articles about the next hack, and almost all of these hacks involve some form of a password failure, some form of a hack where I found your email password, and since I know your email password, I go and try to use it at a bank, and lo and behold, it doesn't work there. But guess what? I know your email now, so I can go to the bank and ask them to email me a new password. So now I can get the new password, delete the email before you ever see it, and now I own your bank account. Seems relatively simple. Most people don't think that email passwords are that important. But simple hacks like that and many others, you know, we've seen some much larger names in the business these past few months, come down and haunt companies every day. And that's why I think you're finding more and more regulatory pressures around these types of hacks. So passwords are, you know, they're painful simply because people don't like to keep them and change them and make them strong. They always make them simple. But more than that, passwords are a compliance problem for almost all companies.
Great. Thank you very much, Troy. So, and in fact, what's interesting is from Troy's example is it is a security compliance thing, because for one end user, if I'm one end user and I have 8 logins and passwords for the different systems that I access as part of my daily life at work, that's a pain. It's really hard to remember that many passwords, especially if they're enforced to being complex in some way. But imagine that complexity if you take that same number of passwords and you're now the administrator, or you're in charge of compliance or security for the organization, and now you need to manage and report on access for all of those different combinations of people and passwords. And so this one problem, which becomes a hassle for remembering things for one person, now becomes a real business issue because it becomes a management and a compliance issue. And so then the question is, well, what kind of apps am I accessing, and what kind of devices am I accessing on? And Troy, would you like to say a few things about this?
Sure. So there are companies today that are relatively new, or companies that are relatively advanced, that only have SaaS and cloud apps. And those companies may have a bit of agility that is an advantage for them. However, that doesn't mean that their agility means better security. So with that agility, in fact, might become less security, because change often means you're changing rapidly and without as much planning. Or I have even seen one cloud host provider be consumed by another cloud host provider. We know how mergers go these days. And maybe the person that you thought was protecting your data yesterday isn't protecting your data today. So we have to worry about not just the landscape that is the cloud, and the cloud might just take us back, for those of us that are old enough to remember the days of mainframes, it might take us back to the way the mainframe works. And oftentimes behind these clouds are mainframe machines. So this cloud or point solution, if you will, oftentimes you're getting to it through web and web-based applications. So those web-based applications still need to get to the data that's in the cloud, if you will. Or even legacy systems, thick applications, will need to get to data that might be in the cloud, or even in-house on-premise type of solutions. All of these different systems accessed from the many different types of devices listed here, and I'm sure there are more. And the third leg of this might be from all over the world. Who knows where you're coming from? So all of these items go into the mixture of the complexity that is the challenge today for businesses. I've got multiple types of systems, I've got multiple types of access equipment, and I've got multiple access points. So it is a complex landscape that your clients are trying to solve this security and access problem around.
Thank you, Troy. And in fact, one of the things that we like to talk about is that we have solutions to fit all of those scenarios that Troy just discussed. We have solutions that can fit an organization that has the simple need where they're using just SaaS applications, but yet they still have a directory in place on their own premise they want to maintain, and they want to connect that all that authentication to those SaaS apps from one point. Or they may be using web applications and they want mobile access to all their applications for their systems, and they'd like to have all of that be managed from one point. Or they might also have legacy on-prem applications, and they'd like to have all of those, again, be managed from one point. Or they may be an organization that is taking a serious look at authentication, and they may say, you know, one size doesn't fit all. I need to have one place where I can manage all of my people and their access from all the different scenarios they have for different applications, from different locations, maybe from different device types, all of those kinds of things. And I may have different types of authentication methods depending on the scenario. But because that concept is complex, I would like to do that from one place to make that complexity a whole lot easier. And so one of the products that we have addresses the whole idea of integrating SaaS applications into your existing authentication structure. And Troy, would you like to say a few words about our product called NetIQ Cloud Access, which is addressed at single sign-on for SaaS apps?
Sure. Cloud Access is a very flexible tool. It's an appliance that allows you to do federated, or what most people would call SAML or something like that, type of authentications into the cloud. So it also supports simple sign-on if you need a username and password, but its main focus is going to be on those SaaS applications. Nice, easy drag-and-drop interface. Set it up in about half a day. Start integrating your applications. Really cost-benefit, quick cost-benefit and TCO type of deployment. A company that mainly focuses on SaaS applications, and their main direction is to go down that road and not have any thick applications to have to deal with on a laptop or a thick application sitting at a kiosk somewhere. They just want to deal with these cloud vendors, cloud applications, and do mainly federated type of authentication. One of the nice things about our cloud access is we not only can do the authentication component, but we can do the identity piece and the provisioning and deprovisioning of your identities in the cloud. That is important for people who use cloud, because cloud is usually a charged service on a per-user basis. If you don't have deprovisioning, then you're paying too much for your cloud. You've, over time, your numbers will just grow and grow and grow and never go back to where they really should be. So the provisioning and deprovisioning component is important in a cloud access solution.
Great, thank you, Troy. Another one of our products is designed for federations for web-based applications that aren't cloud-based applications, and it's called Access Manager. Troy, would you like to say a few words about Access Manager?
Sure. So Access Manager is our workhorse. Where cloud access is totally SaaS focused. It's totally focused on cloud applications. Access Manager is also capable of doing that federated side of things. So it can do that same functionality. It's not a drag and drop interface. It is a different type of interface. It's not, I wouldn't say it's more difficult. It's just different. But it can do that side as well, but it also can do all of your other web requirements as well. So a lot of times service organizations, for instance, banks will have maybe an investment arm that the bank doesn't actually own. They have an investor that manages all of that for them. Sometimes they'll have a deposit or a treasury arm in a bank that isn't necessarily part of the bank. It's a different facility. And not a lot of people, or should I say not everyone, has gone to federated capabilities. In fact, according to most of the market studies, only about 30% of people are actually using federated services. So our Access Manager allows you to meet what you have today if you're in a mixed environment for web access, meaning federated and non-federated web requirements. And at some point, if you grow out of those, you'll still be supported because all of these will just grow into federated SAML type of cloud offerings, and away you go. It's still in the same product. So this product allows you to go from today's mixed environment to tomorrow's all SAML environment.
Thank you, Troy. And then the final product that we have that fits in this space is the single sign-on for enterprise legacy applications called Secure Login. Troy, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Secure Login is simply an agent that runs on your desktop, and you could almost think of it like a virus protector. It sits there and does absolutely nothing until a trigger is going to make it come up. Of course, the trigger isn't a virus. The trigger is an application login prompt, or perhaps a re-login or a change password, or one of those prompts that you want your user to have a single sign-on experience through, or perhaps you just want to increase security by randomizing their password or even forcing an advanced authentication type of login at that point. So Secure Login runs as an agent on your workstation. You teach it from an administrative standpoint about the apps that you want it to support, and then you distribute that support template out to all the users, and the users now get a single sign-on experience. Secure Login's been around about 12 years, so this is a very seasoned product. Lots and lots of healthcare, lots and lots of finance. Our largest client in the world is BASF in Germany. 80,000 users active every day using Secure Login. So very, very healthy product for your desktop. So there are still, without a doubt, there's still plenty of applications still running on desktops. And if you want to go end-to-end in these larger organizations and in government, you find a lot of desktop-side applications. So Secure Login is a good tool to fill that space of legacy apps.
So we can fit many of the scenarios on the point from either a desktop-based application or a web-based application or even a SaaS application. But really, one of our secret sauces is this notion of the NetIQ Advanced Authentication Framework. And this is one of those slides that's kind of big and nasty, and it says a lot, but this is one of the great reasons why we have Troy on the phone today, because he can help talk us through this one and talk about how all of this works, why there's value out of having all of this if people need the whole thing, or how there's value out of some of this if people just need some of the functionality here. Troy?
Sure. So if you look across the top, we've talked about, starting at the left-hand side, you see Secure Login, and and it's running against Windows apps and mainframes and other local applications or resources. And then in the middle, you find Access Manager, which does federation. It also does header injection and form fill to support other web applications. And on the right-hand side, you see Cloud Access, that is all SaaS, all federation type of applications. So these are the three things we've just talked about. If you follow the line down, the colored line down below each of these applications, if we start on the left, you see there's a little gray circle, a line down, and a bracket that spreads from side to side of all these different methodologies that sit on top of the Advanced Authentic Core server. So the Advanced Authentication Authentic Core server is an appliance that runs in your environment, and that appliance just provides an advanced authentication service. We have Secure Login integrated, and because Secure Login can use things that are connected to a workstation, you'll see that it's integrated with every one of these possible methods, everything from biometrics, meaning fingerprint, finger vein, NFC, smart cards, all of the types of methods that you would find something plugged into a workstation, all the way across. It also includes the smart cards and the prox cards and challenge response and radius and OTPs on your phone and SMS calls and voice calls. So it supports all of these little gray boxes in there that are the different methods. If you move over one to Access Manager, you can't consider that every time someone's needing an authentication at an Access Manager point that they would have a workstation there with any of those devices on it. So generally speaking, you'd be talking about things that were in the green bracketed area, those types of 2/3 of the methods, if you will. And then on Cloud Access, you might be talking to people that are on tablets and phones and that type of thing, because that's where you find SaaS applications generally is really just all over the place on mobile devices. So
but wait, Troy, I'm sorry, but wouldn't, and sorry for interrupting, but wouldn't there be a lot of competitors out there that offer these kinds of things? Why is it so good that we have it with our offerings?
Yeah, so all of these are automatically integrated into each of these type of SSO products, all these types of authentication capabilities. What makes it unique is that this is a framework that works across them all. So if I'm sitting in my office and I enroll from my workstation a SMS, so I enroll my phone number in SMS, and now whenever I go to authenticate to this app, my phone goes ding ding, and there's my SMS, and I've been SMS a one-time password. That's great. But now if I go home and I'm on my tablet and I get to the same application through a SaaS or a web capability, meaning I'm using either Access Manager or Cloud Access, and I try to access it, my phone goes ding ding and it works. I didn't have to re-register because it's still inside of the framework, and all of these can utilize SMS. So it's one framework, register one time, and it works across all the products. Oh, and by the way, there are APIs, so you wouldn't necessarily need Secure Login, Access Manager, Cloud Access. You could write directly to the Advanced Authentication server from your application. So the advantage is all of these functionalities in one framework instead of a point solution such as a company that might use RSA for their VPN, and then they might use HID for cards at their workstations, meaning double the administration, double the infrastructure, double the headache. So we've got one solution that will do it all.
Wonderful, thank you. And I think these slides here probably just repeat a lot of the things that you just said. Are there any highlights here that you want to scan and just and rephrase?
The only thing that I might add to that is we've recently come upon a lot of clients that are doing renewals for RSA, and they're interested in moving off of RSA, this is a great way to help them off of RSA while they can still use tokens. So if they would like to do that, or if they would like our system to just integrate into RSA, we can certainly do that as well, because RSA is just a radius server. So very flexible.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. And so let's talk a little bit about the market play. Why do we see this should be interesting, or at least we think it might be interesting to you? And, well, there are a couple of reasons. One is there's revenue opportunities. We know from talking with a lot of your peers and the Tech Data colleagues that there are a lot of folks in your positions that are talking to customers who have these security and compliance concerns, and a lot of times they're in healthcare, state and local education, legal, finance, retail, all of those different kinds of different verticals. Also, a lot of times what you find is if you're having these kinds of conversations with customers, you can expand your trusted advisor status. You can offer more to them. If your customers are going to the cloud, if they're shedding off infrastructure, as Troy talked about earlier, you can use cloud access as a wedge to get in and talk about advanced authentication and upsell into that. Also, mobility. People are using mobile products left and right. How are they accessing their systems securely? Because you know the people, the employees, the users want to access from mobile devices. How are they doing that in a secure environment? And then, of course, there's a lot of ability for you to help deploy these products, build connectors, build APIs, integrate in with Active Directory, expand into other areas of security and compliance like privileged user access, all with products that are related to the ones that we've talked about today. And you can make more money. Tech Data has a program called Going for Gold, and NetIQ's Cloud Access and Access Manager are several of the products that are part of that. And this program is an exciting program for resellers who work with NetIQ, Novell, and SUSE, because you can get better margins from Tech Data on those products, and you can also qualify for a deal registration through Tech Data, even if you're not an elevated status partner of ours. So what that means is if you find an opportunity, we are looking for ways to help reward that. We love that kind of behavior, and we want to reward it. In addition to that, there are marketing support, enablement. We'll do what we can to help you close your deal. And the main contact for that is Silvana Bellevue. In fact, by the way, that's Silvana in the picture there acting as the school teacher, saying, don't you give me your SaaS unless you include NetIQ SaaS Cloud Access. So, hi, Silvana. And then, of course, there's PartnerNet, our partner program. PartnerNet is a partner program that offers generous deal registrations to our gold partners and above, and certifications for sales, technical, lots of enablement, lots of marketing support, product downloads with NFR keys. It's a very rich program with a very rich website, and if you're not already part of it, we welcome you to join by just going to partnernetprogram.com. Doesn't cost anything, takes a few minutes, and boom, you're a partner and you have access to good materials. And finally, here's our contact information. And if you do have any questions, Richard, we're open for questions, of course, now, if any have come across. But here's the contact information for Troy, myself, as well as our main contacts at Tech Data. If you do have questions down the line, we'd be very, very happy to help. So, Richard, any questions?
All righty. Well, thanks, John. Appreciate it. Yeah, once again, everybody on the line, if you have any questions that you want to ask of today's presenters, go ahead and use the chat feature, and the questions will come directly into us, and we can get those asked. We do have one question that came through, John. It was actually about the deal registration, and I think you actually answered part of it, where you had mentioned, like, is deal registration only good for gold partners only?
Well, from the PartnerNet program, the answer is yes. but from the Going for Gold program, the program that Tech Data is running, there is a deal registration that's available for select products, including Cloud Access and Access Manager, and that's available through Tech Data for those products. And all you need to do at that point, the rules for that is that it's an incremental new license opportunity, and it's been approved for that, and you're a member of the PartnerNet program, but with no elevated status necessary.
And follow-up question to that is, what's the turnaround time on getting approvals on deal registrations?
That's a good question. Really, what it comes down to is if the right people are available, it could be done within a day. Oftentimes, it usually takes a couple of days, maybe 2 or 3 days. But let me put it this way. We would love to have the deals be registered. We are not going to be working against you to register a deal. We're going to be working for you to register a deal.
Alrighty. Any other questions from the audience? Go ahead and submit them through the chat feature. Alrighty, John. Looks like that was it for today. No further questions. So you must have done a really good job, okay? You and Troy. So didn't know if you guys wanted to close with anything before we end today's webinar.
Well, I just want to say thanks to you, Richard, and Tech Data, and thank you, Troy, for presenting. I appreciate it. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to contact us. We'd love to help you win some business.
All righty. Well, thank you. Troy, did you have anything?
I would just add to that to be sure to not be shy. Utilize us. We're here to help you in your business. We wouldn't be doing this if we weren't. So please feel free to utilize us in your business.
All righty. Well, thank you again, guys. Thanks again, everyone who joined us, and good afternoon, and we'll see you next time.